Tonight, the world is watching the events unfolding in Syria and anxiously awaiting what comes next. In the last 24 hours, rebel forces took control of the Syrian capital of Damascus, ousting longtime President Bashar al-Assad from power, ending a decades-long dynasty and 13 years of war. Russia's foreign ministry says Assad stepped down as president of Syria and ordered a peaceful transfer of power. Russian state media reporting that he and his family are now in Moscow and that they've been granted asylum. Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah had helped Assad and his family cling to power for decades, but with those allies distracted by wars in Ukraine, Gaza, and Lebanon, the rebels seized this opportunity. And President Joe Biden speaking on the situation this afternoon.
At long last, the Assad regime has fallen. We're clear-eyed about the fact that ISIS will try to take advantage of any vacuum to reestablish its capabilities and to create a safe haven. We will not let that happen.
Meanwhile, celebrations broke out both in Damascus and around the world, including right here in Northern California. The Sacramento region is home to a robust Syrian-American population and was one of the top destinations in the country for Syrian refugees during the large refugee crisis in 2015. Here's ABC 10's Garjpal Sangha speaking with Syrian Americans about this weekend's developments.
From Syria, San Francisco, to the Sacramento region.
Everything just happened so suddenly, we just couldn't believe it.
A mix of shock, relief, and hope for a new future is slowly soaking in for Syrians all around the world and at North's Cafe on Sacramento's Madison Avenue.
It's just insane, like we can just go back, we can be reunited with family, with friends. It's a crazy thing.
The sense of disbelief is overwhelming. Syrian Americans are still trying to grasp what this new chapter could mean for them and their families.
Still can't believe that this happened.
Mohammed Sakar knows too well the dangers of speaking out against the regime. He fled Syria in 2012 after protesting.
All the Syrian people suffered from this criminal regime. There's nothing that can express this feeling. I've never felt this much of happiness in my life. It's the day that I feel that I'm born again right now.
Miriam Damlaki was born in the U.S. and during her entire life has struggled with survivor's guilt.
I didn't think it would happen this year. I didn't think it would happen this weekend, this close to me graduating, but it was the best grad gift anyone could really ever ask for.
We've been waiting for that for 50 years.
And Dr. Niha Jabrini, a longtime member of the Syrian American community in Yuba City, has had to remember the entire 5 decades of the regime. His cousin's husband was killed.
For saying something about the government, you can't say anything. You say one word, you're done. He was killed, she wasn't just. She didn't say anything just because she's his wife. I'm not a criminal, but she in the jail for 20 years.
People have been fighting the Assad regime for decades.
Dr. Sahar Razavi, the director of Iranian and Middle Eastern Studies at Sacramento State, says the political landscape in the region has shifted dramatically for Assad's backers.
When the civil war began, Russia was not bogged down in a war in Ukraine. Iran was not bogged down through its proxies in Israel through Hezbollah and Hamas. So Assad's primary backers of Russia and Iran had more resources to give at that time.
As the future remains uncertain, the Syrian American community in the Sacramento region are praying for a brighter future.
We just have to focus on the moment, and then, whatever comes, we'll be ready for it.
As you heard in the story, Syrians in the Sacramento region we spoke to say they can't wait to visit or move back home to help the country rebuild. Reporting in Sacramento, Garjpal Sangha, ABC 10.
Garjpal, thank you. The Council on American Islamic Relations expressing support for the Syrian people's long-awaited victory. The group welcomed the downfall of Assad, calling it the end of a regime that had perpetrated unimaginable suffering. Here's what a senior advisor with the organization's Central Valley chapter told ABC 10 tonight.
Sigh of relief. There's a lot of damage has been done. This Syria is going to need a lot of help and support to rebuild. But I'm confident that the Syrian American community, one of the most educated communities with so many doctors and engineers, I know will be pivotal to rebuilding Syria.
CARE is the nation's largest Muslim civil rights and advocacy organization. A statement from their national executive director today says, quote, "We encourage the incoming Trump administration to make plans to phase out the unauthorized presence of U.S. troops in Syria, turn over occupied land to the Syrian people, and ensure that neither our government nor the lawless Israeli government undermines democracy building in Syria or otherwise interferes with Syrian sovereignty," end quote. Meanwhile, in a Truth Social post Saturday before Assad was toppled, President-elect Donald Trump writing, quote, "This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved," end quote. To listen to our full conversation with Sacramento State Professor Sahar Razavi over the situation in Syria tonight, head over to ABC 10 Plus. It's free on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.